They sent them. Hey, Alice, get a vase and we'll put them right in.
A vase?
All right, a vase. Get something to put them in before they die.
Curly, a subpoena is a summons.
I know a subpoena is a summons.
Yeah, the guy you hit yesterday is suing you for assault and battery. Here you are, take it.
It ain't for me.
Your name is Harris, isn't it?
My name is Harris, but...
Phil Harris?
Oh, Phil. Sorry, mister. You see, you've got the wrong party. I'm Vladimir Harris.
Vladimir?
Da. The Russian side of the family, you know. La hukti haile la zuksti maleko. Ah, to be in Siberia now that the salt mines are in bloom again.
Hey, Rasputin, shall I get our American friend a glass tea?
No, Tavares. Get out samovar. I feel like hot borscht.
Oh, you can't get out of it, honey. You might as well admit you're Phil Harris.
Quiet, Lubitsky.
So you are Phil Harris, huh? Well, take this summons and don't forget you're to appear before Judge Kerwin at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Goodbye.
Phil, look at this summons. This man is suing you for $10,000.
What? That's ridiculous. I barely touched the guy. I tell you, it's a frame-up. It's a fraud. I didn't hurt him. I'm innocent.
Then you have nothing to worry about. Look, Phil, was there anybody at the market who saw this fight and would testify for you?
Yeah, there was one witness. But I got news for you. It ain't going to do me any good. It was Julius Abruzio.
So?
So slip my pants and shave my head. I'm headed for the hot seat.
Why do you say that, Phil? Doesn't Julius like you?
Oh, Myrna, you better stop counting your money and start listening to this program.
Hey, Curly, if Julius is the only witness, we got to get to him. It's your only chance.
Yeah, I suppose so. Well, we can give it a try. Let's go with the market and talk to him.
Well, if he doesn't like you, I don't think he'll testify for you. Oh, Phil, I don't see any way out of this.
Ah, don't be a pessimist. Cheer up. Be happy. Why don't you sing, Alice?
I don't feel like singing.
I do.
Nobody
asked you. I don't care. I feel a little Milton Berlish. Young Johnny Jones, he had a cute little boat, and all the girlies he would take for a float. He had girlies by the score, sweet little peaches on the shore. But Johnny was a Weisenheimer, you know. His steady girl was Flo. And every Sunday afternoon, they'd jump in his boat, and then he'd spoon, and then he'd row, row, row. Right up that river he would row, row, row. A hug he'd give her, then he'd kiss her now and then. She would tell him when. He'd fool around, and then he'd kiss again, and then he'd row, row, row. A little further he would row, just he and Flo. With her head on his chest, he'd take a few measures rest, and then he'd row, row, row. In Johnny's boat he had a cute little seat, and all the kisses that he stole were so sweet. And he knew just how to row. He was a rowing Romeo. He knew an island where the trees were so grand. He knew just where to land. Then tales of love he'd tell to flow until it was time for them to go. And then he'd row, row, row. On up that river he would row so slow. That hug he'd give her, then he'd kiss her now and then. She would tell him when. He'd fool around, and then he'd kiss again, and then he'd row. On up that river he would row, just he and Flo. Then he'd drop both his oars, take a few more encores, and then he'd row, 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 just he and Florence. Row, row, row right into heaven. Row, row. He had no Johnson motors, so Johnny and Flo would row, row, row.
Hey, I don't see Julius anyplace. You suppose it's his day off?
I don't think... Oh, there he is behind the meat counter. Do you want me to talk to him, Phil?
No. Now, you better let me and Frankie handle him. We're more subtle than you are. Come on, Frankie. Now, remember, let's not antagonize this little guy. Let's try. Oh, good morning, Julius.
Greetings, Julius.
Well, if it ain't Mickey Harrison as Trigger Man.
Hey, did you hear that, Frankie? Kid, come right on with it. Right along. This boy's a clip.
Oh, yeah. Great sense of humor.
Yeah.
I didn't say nothing that funny. What do you hoodlums want?
I want to talk to you, Julius. Jewel, there. You were the only witness to that little misunderstanding that I was involved in yesterday.
Misunderstanding? Oh, you mean that brutal bloody battle?
What brutal bloody battle?
The one in which, without provocation, you attacked that helpless old man with a meat cleaver.
I didn't attack nobody with no meat cleaver.
Sorry, but that's the way I saw it with my biased little eyes.
Hey, Julius, have you been called to testify in court today?
Yeah, I got my subpoena a little while ago. What about it?
Julius, look. Your testimony can either save or condemn me. Now, I know that, well, I know we've had our little differences, but underneath it all, we have a deep affection for each other.
True.
Well, Julie boy, with that in mind, when you get up on the stand, what are you going to say in my behalf, little chum?
Mr. Harris, what are them things hanging up in the window there?
Dead ducks.
Well, climb up on that empty hook. You are now one of them.
Hey, Julius, excuse us a minute. Hey, Curly, being nice to him ain't gonna work.
Keep telling me that. I ain't going to do no good, and if he testifies, it's going to ruin me.
Of course, if he doesn't show up in court, he can't testify. Can he?
No. Remley, you keep talking to him, and I'll back him into that coffee grinder.
Okay, I'll set the machine. Oh, how do you think he'll look best, percolator or regular grinder?
Make it drip. It fits his personality. Wait a minute. Hold it. Wait a minute, Remley. We can't do that to a kid. He's just a kid. That's too cruel.
Well, we gotta do something to him.
I got it.
What?
Let's lock him in the refrigerator.
Yeah, that's more humane.
We'll quick freeze him a little. Now, we can always defrost him after the trial. Frankie, this is the best idea.
Curly, not so loud. Listen, what's the best way to get him in the refrigerator?
We'll tell him we want some meat.
It won't work.
We want some meat.
It won't work.
We want some meat.
It won't
Why
work.
not? We want some meat. Julia, shame on you. You were listening. It's bad manners to eavesdrop.
It's good manners to make an ice cream for me.
Julia, shame on you. You were listening. It's bad manners to eavesdrop. But Julia, please,
Come on, Curly, come on. You're wasting your time. He ain't gonna help you.
I guess you're right. Let's get out of here.
Well, how did you do, fellas?
We threw 3. Tried to reason with the guy, but he ain't gonna listen. I told you.
Let me talk to him. I think I can handle him. I'll be right back.
It ain't gonna do you no good. Oh, Frankie, I'm in trouble. I don't know what to do.
Well, the only one thing you can do. Get yourself a good lawyer.
Yeah, but I ain't never had no occasion to use a lawyer before. Where can I get a good one?
Well, among my acquaintances, there's an esteemed barrister whose reputation is irrefutable. I can vouch for his integrity, as he and I are inseparable companions.
What?
I know a guy.
Now he's trying to sneak him in on me. Look, I don't want no part of no guy you know. No.
All right.
Besides, I don't need no lawyer. All I need is some good character witness to testify that I'm a fine, upstanding, sterling citizen.
Oh. Well, let me take care of that. I'll get you the best witnesses that money can buy.
Frankie.
What's the matter?
Mr. Remley. What a horrid suggestion. I don't have to buy no witness to testify to my character. I can get any number of people who would be glad to do that for nothing. I know I could get, not even, what scale for them witnesses?
I know where we can get all we need for as little as $1.
Phil, your worries are over. Julius just promised me that he'd testify for you and tell the truth.
He did.
See?
Oh, gee, you're wonderful. Hey, how'd you do it?
I promised him there was something I wouldn't do.
I don't care what it was. Come here, baby, and give me a great big kiss.
Oh, sorry. That's what I promised him I wouldn't do.
Well, I don't care. Now that Julius is going to tell the truth, we ain't got nothing to worry about. We don't need no lawyer, no witness, no nothing.
That's right, Curly. Hey, it's almost 3 o'clock. We better get over to the court.
Well, come on, let's go.
Phil, the policeman said Judge Kerwin is holding court right across the hall there.
Okay, then we better get in there.
Hey, you better let me do all the talking, Curly. I know more about the law than you do.
You should. You've been here often enough on disorderly conduct charges.
Alice.
Oh, I was only kidding, Frankie.
Well, don't kid about things like that.
Sorry.
I've never been in court in my life. I've never been arrested, and I resent it when you...
Quiet! Quiet! Quiet in the courtroom, please. What's the meaning of this?
I'm the defendant, Your Honor.
What's your name?
Phil Harris.
Have you ever been in court before?
No, sir.
What's your name, miss?
I'm Mrs. Harris.
Have you ever been in court before?
No, sir.
Hello, Frankie.
Hi, Judge.
For a guy who ain't never been to court before, you get around pretty clever, don't you, Clyde?
Felix and I went to Harvard Law School together.
Mr. Harris, a suit has been brought against you by the plaintiff, Mr. Charles Maul. Are you represented by counsel?
If it pleases the court, Your Honor, I shall represent Mr. Harris.
I object.
So do I.
Me too.
Please. One more outburst like that, and I shall be forced to eject all of you from this courtroom.
Mr. Remley, if you persist in your disrespectful attitude, I'll hold you in contempt of court.
But, Your Honor, I got a right to represent Mr. Harris. I know the law, and as a citizen, I stand on my constitutional right.
You can't stand on your constitutional rights.
Very well. Then I'll sit on my ipso facto.
Your Honor, I'm not guilty in this case, and I don't need a lawyer. I got a witness who can prove that I'm innocent. Julius Abruzio, step forward.
Here I am.
Look, kid, when you take the stand, I want you to forget that you're just Julius and act nice. Won't you? Please, now just sit down and try to make a good impression on the judge.
Do you want me to expose my legs?
No, just cover your face. Now, Julius, I want you to tell the court here just what happened, and I want you to tell the truth.
Yes, son. Did Mr. Harris strike the plaintiff?
Oh, no, Your Honor. I have known Mr. Harris for years, and I assure you he's not the kind of man to strike another person.
He's too kind?
No, he's too yellow.
Don't be a wise witness. All the judge wants to know is, did I hit this guy?
No, Your Honor, he didn't. The plaintiff took a swing at Mr. Harris, missed him, and fell down.
Oh, he fell down.
Yeah. At that point, Mr. Harris started kicking the stuffings out.
That's a lie. I didn't kick kick him, and you know it.
Then how come old Sullivan was stamped on his forehead?
Because this is a corny program. Gee whiz, you're only imagining things. I didn't hurt the guy, and I can prove it. Now bring him in, and you'll see that there isn't a mark on him.
Very well. Bailiff, wheel in the plaintiff.
Wheel him in! Oh, but, Your Honor, I tell you, I didn't even touch
Phil, look at him. Not only is he in a wheelchair, he's covered with bandages.
I tell you, I'm being framed.
Hey, Curly, you're in trouble. You better let me handle this. I know the law, and I know how I can get you out of it.
Well, all right, go ahead.
All right. Your Honor, if it pleases the court, I believe that I can legally establish Mr. Harris's innocence. May I borrow your law book?
Here you are.
Thank you. On what page do I find the loopholes?
Mr. Remley, I'll thank you to be seated. I'll get to the bottom of this. I want the plaintiff to take the witness stand.
I'd like to, but I can't, Your Honor. After the unmerciful beating Mr. Harris gave me, I can't move my legs.
You're lying. My husband did not hit you.
He did, too.
He did not.
He did, too.
Your mother drinks warm beer.
That's my little woman that said that.
Hey, Curly, come here a minute.
Yeah.
This guy's a phony, and I think I can prove it. Watch me. Mr. Mall. You say that you can't move your legs.
No, I have no feeling in them.
Uh-huh. In other words, you wouldn't feel a thing if I were to kick you in the shin like this. Ow!
Why, I'll get you for this. I'll break every bone in your back.
Phil, look, there's nothing wrong with him. He's gotten out of his wheelchair. He's chasing Frankie all over the court. Look.
Hey, cut it out. Stop beating me. Never mind. Stop. Curly! Hey, Curly, stop and get him off me.
You see, Your Honor, there's nothing wrong with that man. Look at that healthy job he's doing beating up Frankie.
Order in the court. Order in the court. Case dismissed.
Ow, hey, stop twisting my hands. You're breaking my little guitar finger.
Alice and Phil will be back in just a moment. But first, here's your Rexall family druggist.
If you're looking for a painless way to lower your cost of living, let me remind you that the easiest method I know is only 2 days away.
You mean Rexall's 1-cent sale that I read about in all those big magazine ads?
Sure do, ma'am. The greatest 1-cent sale in Rexall's history. Everywhere in the country, wherever you see the orange and blue Rexall sign on the window, next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday are the miracle days when you get 2 fine-quality, guaranteed Rexall products for the price of 1 plus 1 cent.
Exactly how does that work?
Well, take our 100-tablet bottle of Rexall aspirin, for example. Ordinarily, it sells for 49 cents, but during the 1-cent sale, you get 2 bottles for 50 cents.
Say, that extra penny is pretty powerful.
So powerful it buys twice as much. What's more, you'll find exactly 360 of these twin bargains in our stores. Everything from Rexall Milk of Magnesia to Rexall Cleanso toothbrushes. From Rexall Cod Liver Oil to Rexall Vitamin products.
Mister, I'm saving my pennies for Wednesday.
We'll save a lot of them, ma'am. Every one of them doubles your buying power. Best of all, you'll be getting Rexall products. And you can depend on any drug product that bears the name Rexall.
Good health to all from Rexall.
Guitar player in courtroom brawl. Read all about it Remley, well-known rummy in Rumpus.
You know, Phil, Frankie took quite your behalf.
I know, honey. I know that, and I appreciate it. I owe him a lot. And I'm going over to see him and do something big for him just to show my appreciation.
What are you going to do?
Well, I'm going to have him moved out of that ward into a semi-private room this very day.
This program was produced and directed by Paul Phillips. Included in today's cast were Earl Ross, Hal March, and Sidney Miller. The part of Frankie Remley was played by Elliot Lewis, and Julius was played by Walter Tetley. Alice Faye appears through the courtesy of 20th Century Fox. Remember, next Wednesday begins the 4 biggest bargain days in the year. The greatest 1-cent sale in Rexall's history. Remember, next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, look for the store with the orange and blue Rexall sign on the window. Then step inside and buy twice as much for just a penny more.
You're tuned for the stars on NBC.
JAR101. It's new. It's amazing. It's Prel.
G.A.R. Prel shampoo.
Yes, Procter & Gamble's new Radiant Cream Shampoo in the handy tube. Prel brings you The Life of Riley. That removes unsightly dandruff in as little as 3 minutes, leaves hair more radiantly clean, radiantly lovely, presents The Life of Riley with William Bendix as Riley. Chester A. Riley has been happily married now for 18 long years, and yet on one night of each week, Riley tears off the bonds of matrimony and becomes a gay, romantic Lothario, the darling of beautiful women. On that magic night, Riley might be a boyish Van Johnson, a suave, sophisticated Walter Pigeon, or a dashing Errol Flynn. It all depends on the particular motion picture Riley and Peg happen to see on their weekly visit to the movies. Tonight, our hero emerged from the Bijou Theater transformed, if only in his own mind, into James Mason. At the moment, Peg Riley and James Mason are sipping their usual after-theater soda.
Riley, are you through with that soda yet?
Quite.
Then pay the check and let's go home.
Right.
Oh, I wish we had a car instead of walking. These shoes are killing me.
Tight.
What are you mumbling about? Don't try to talk with your mouth full.
There's nothing in my mouth, Peg. Don't you get it?
Get what?
That movie tonight.
Well, what about it?
Well, look at me. Notice the bushy eyebrows, the hair hanging over my forehead? Look at the shape of my ears and my shining white teeth. What movie star do I remind you of?
Lassie.
Now, cut it out, Peg. You know very well Lassie's a girl. Be serious. What star do I look like? A human being.
William Bendix?
Now, wait a minute. You don't have to insult me.
All right, I give up. Who do you look like?
James Mason?
James Mason?
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, you think it's funny. Well, if I cracked you over the knuckles with a cane, you wouldn't think it was funny.
Oh, Riley, if you're James Mason, then I'm Jane Russell.
Well, don't say that I'm a dead ringer for him. It's just that he's got a certain air about him, and I've got an air about me.
You sure have. You better stop using that new shaving lotion. It's horrible. In the movie, we were the only 2 people in a whole empty row, and they were standing 6 deep in the back.
I ain't talking about that kind of an air. I meant a kind of a romantic Savoy ferry. You may not have noticed it, but other women do. Look at that woman over there staring at me, and she's with some man. Hey, Peg, that's Hobart Morris and his wife. Hi there.
Riley, why are you waving at him? We hardly know him.
What are you talking about, Peg? Art Jr. and them Marilyn are practically going steady.
Oh, they're coming over. They're bringing their sodas with them.
Oh, hello there, Riley.
Hi, Mark.
Mr. Morris.
What are you folks doing here?
Oh, we just dropped in for a soda after the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, did you see James Mason, too?
Yes, I just love him. He's charming.
White.
I beg your pardon?
Don't I remind you of anybody, Mrs. Morris?
Remind me?
Right. Somebody you saw in the movie tonight. Look at me.
Oh, Riley.
Look at the eyebrows, the shape of my ears, the teeth. Well, who do I remind you of? Somebody you saw tonight.
Oh, of course. That wrestler, Gorgeous George.
Not in the newsreel.
Oh. You mean James Mason?
You see, Peg, she noticed right away.
Oh, Riley, don't be ridiculous. He gets this way after every movie.
Riley, if you're James Mason, then I'm Jane Russell.
Well, I don't see what's so funny.
Don't you mind them, Mr. Riley. I think you're like James Mason.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Morris.
Oh, don't be so formal, James. Call me Adelaide.
All right.
Oh, I can't figure what you women see in this James Mason and the dialogue they give him. Did you ever hear a man call a woman my heart's delight? Ugh, heart's delight. Sounds like an ice cream sundae. Oh. Yeah, here it is, right on the menu, 35 cents.
Well, you just ain't the romantic type, Morris. Women go for pet names. You know what I used to call Peg before we were married? When we were in love?
Oh, Riley, for heaven's sake.
Oh, I ain't ashamed. I had a special name for her. Peachy Pie.
Well, what do you know? That's on the menu, too, 25 cents.
Oh. Well, I think it's very charming. I wouldn't mind being called Peachy Pie.
Well, I think...
I think we all better go home.
Oh, yes, it's late. Can we drop you off, folks?
Oh, swell.
Oh, you girls wait here. We'll get the car and pick you up. It's over on the lot. Come on, Riley.
Yeah, okay.
Riley, the check.
Oh, no. Here, let me pick it up.
No. I'll pick it up.
No, Riley, I insist on paying.
Oh, okay, I'll meet you halfway. I'll pick it up and you pay it. It's a nice little car you have here, Morris.
Yeah, she runs fine. I've had her a long time, but she stood up pretty well.
Yeah, she runs swell.
Yeah, but I'm getting a new Nash any day now.
Yeah, well, I've been thinking about buying a used car, but you know those used car dealers.
True. In business, it's always better to know the man you're dealing with. You deal with a stranger, and you might possibly run into a crook.
Yeah. Now, if I could buy from a crook that I knew, would you like to sell this car?
Well, I might. You see, my wife wants 2 cars, and when I get the new one, I might talk her out of it. Yes, I'll give you a call.
Oh, swell. Say yes, Morris. Don't say anything to my wife. If I buy this, I want to surprise her.
Oh, no, not a word.
Oh, good. Well, hop in, lady.
You sit in the front, Mrs. Riley. It's warmer.
Oh, no,
Go ahead. I'll sit in the back here with James Mason.
Right. Tally-o, toodaloo, pip-pip, and top-ho. But, Peg, I don't...
honest, Riley, how could you make such a spectacle of yourself?
Peg, what did I do?
James Mason. And fluttering your eyelashes at Mrs. Morris.
Why, Peg, you're jealous.
Jealous? Me? Oh, don't be ridiculous. I'm embarrassed.
No, you're jealous, just like Morris was.
Oh, now you got Mr. Morris jealous.
Well, sure, didn't you notice? He couldn't hide it. Couldn't stand his wife looking at a younger man.
A younger man? You're at least 3 years older than Mr. Morris.
Well, yeah, but he aged quicker. I stayed young for years. Happens all the time. What you call a case of arrested development. You see, physically I'm older, but mentally...
Mentally, you're still in diapers.
Now, Peg, let's not fight, eh?
I'm not fighting. I'm just annoyed.
Naturally, but is it my fault I'm so attractive to women?
Well, of all the conceited...
But don't you worry, honey. I've only got eyes for you, so cheer up. You're stuck with me for life.
Fine way to cheer me up.
Oh, come on. Give me a kiss, Peachy Pie.
Oh, I give up.
Atta girl.
Remember, though, next time you come out of the movies, be yourself.
Okay, I promise. How about that kiss?
Oh, all right.
Well, Peg, how does it feel to be kissed by James Mason? Oh, hiya, Junior.
Hello, Pop.
What's the matter? You having trouble with your homework?
I'm not doing homework. I gotta write a letter to Marilyn Morris.
Oh, romance.
No, I don't want to write this mush, but there's this other fella after Marilyn, too, and he writes her these mushy notes, so she makes me do it, too. Gee, Pop, what goes on in a woman's mind anyway?
Well, don't worry, son. You're young yet. You'll find out about women when you get married.
I will?
Yeah, sure. Of course, by then it'll be too late.
I can't write this dopey letter.
What about this other kid?
He can have Marilyn.
Junior. Junior, I'm surprised at you. What are you, a quitter? I never acted like that. When me and Sidney Monahan were both after your mother, where would I be today if I'd have said, oh, let him have her? As far as that goes, where would you be? Now, sit down and write that letter.
I don't know what to say.
I'll help you. I'm an expert on this kind of thing. What's this other kid like?
Oh, he's a real jupe. He's got a lot of dough. He's older than me and thinks he can...
Got the angles. Start writing.
Okay. Dear Marilyn...
No. Start off like this. Dearest Peachy Pie.
Oh, no, Pop.
Why? What's wrong?
Well, a girl had to be a moron to fall for a line like that.
Junior, how dare you? You're talking about the woman I love. All right.
Huh?
Well, go on, write. Believe me, Junior, this is the way to start a love letter.
Oh, okay. Dearest Peachy Pie.
Now say, from the first moment I laid eyes on you, I knowed you was meant for me.
Oh, Pop, the grammar's all wrong.
Where? Oh, yeah, of course. Correct it like this. From the first moment I laid eyes on you, I knowed you was meant for me.
No, Pop.
Well, okay, you fix up the grammar any way you want. Now say, I cannot offer you money like others, but money isn't everything.
Marilyn won't go for that.
Oh, sure she will. She's too young to know any better. Now, finish it up and say, I can only offer you a loving heart. Make me the happiest boy in the world. Yours truly, your love slave. You got that?
Oh, yeah, but...
Fine. Now, take it over to Marilyn Morris's house and slip it under her door.
Well, can I mail it?
No, you don't send this kind of a letter through the mail. You deliver it in person. It's more romantic that way.
Oh, no, Pop, I can't.
Listen, Junior, if you want to get anywhere with women, you mustn't be shy. Now, when I made up my mind to marry your mother, was I shy? No. I went right up to her house, walked into the parlor, turned the lights down low, put my arms around her and whispered, darling, lend me $2 for a marriage license.
There's Marilyn's house.
Yeah, well, go on, ring the bell.
Oh, Pop, I can't, honest.
All right, then I'll ring. I never saw such a kid. You got to learn not to be so scared of... Oh, here's somebody coming.
Oh, Pop, I'm going. Here, you give her the letter.
Junior, come back here. Junior!
Yes? Oh, hello, Mr. Riley.
Oh, hello, Mrs. Morris. I just came over to deliver this here letter.
A letter?
Yeah.
To my own Peachy Pie. Peachy Pie? Mr. Riley, what's the meaning of this?
Well, you think that you... No, you see, this here letter is
Who's
for...
at the door, Adelaide? Oh, hello, Riley. Hello, what brings you here?
Well,
what's this letter?
To
Peachy Pie? Riley!
Oh, well, I was... Junior, wait for me!
Riley, come back here!
He must be out of his mind writing me a letter like this. Dearest Peachy Pie, from the first moment I laid eyes on you, I knew you were meant for me.
Mother?
Just a minute, Marilyn. I cannot offer
Mother,
you...
what on earth are you doing with my mail?
Your mail?
Yes, that's Junior's handwriting. Now, please give it to me.
Here, dear, you're welcome to it.
Everybody's always opening my mail.
Well, that's a relief. For one dreadful minute there, I thought he...
I can't run anymore, but I gotta. He may come after me. He's got a car. Out of my way, kid.
Hey, Pop, wait, it's me.
Junior. So here you are. You coward, running away.
Oh, but, Pop...
Don't talk. Let's keep running.
Pop! Hey, Pop, what are you running for?
On account of you. You got me in a jam. You and your love letters.
But you told me to write it.
You told me to write it. Just because I told you, do you have to do it? Haven't you got a mind of your own? If I told you to jump off a bridge, would you do it?
No.
I'm your father, and you'll obey me. Boy, 12 years old, writing love letters. When I was 12 years old, I didn't waste my time writing love letters. I was writing the ABCs. What do you think of as girls? Well, I'm ordering you to have nothing to do with girls until you're married.
Yeah, but, Pop, if I don't go with girls, how'll I get married?
That's your problem. Keep running.
Oh, but, Pop,
I don't want to hear no excuses. You stay away from women. I'm telling you this for your own good. Women are the root of all evil. And you're too young to go around pulling up roots. Keep running.
We'll bring you the second act of The Life of Riley in a moment.
There's radiance for you in your first Prel shampoo.
Yes, there's radiance for you in your first Prel shampoo. Procter & Gamble's Radiant Cream Shampoo in the handy tube. The very first time you use Prel, you'll thrill to the glamorous radiance of your hair. Because Prel leaves hair more radiant than any soap shampoo, cream, or liquid. It can't leave a dulling soap film. Prel uncovers all the true brilliance of your hair. Brings out those beautiful natural highlights. Prel washed hair curls better, too. It's easier to set and manage. There's no worry of embarrassing dandruff, either, because Prel removes such dandruff in as little as 3 minutes. Leaves hair and scalp clean, delightfully fragrant. Try Prel, your very next shampoo, and see the difference for yourself. Ask for it at your favorite shampoo counter. Ask for Prel, the Radiant Cream Shampoo.
P-R-E-L-L, Prel shampoo.
Try Prel hair more radiant than any soap shampoo, cream, or liquid. And now back to The Life of Riley with William Bendix as Riley, who imagines, as usual, that he is in desperate trouble. Brings out those beautiful natural highlights.
It's only me, Pop.
Oh, you scared me.
What's the matter? You still worrying about that letter?
Oh, I'm in big trouble, son. I should never have run away like that. Junior, your father is a big dope.
Oh, no, you're not, Pop. I think you're pretty smart.
Now, you just think I'm smart because you're a dope like your father. You gotta help me, Junior.
Well, sure, Pop.
Oh, well, now go over to the Morris' house and explain about that letter.
Oh, no, I can't do that,
But you've
Pop.
got it, Junior.
Oh, I can't. I had a fight with Marilyn today, and I told her off. I'm through with her. I'm not going to her house.
But, Junior, you don't understand the jam I'm in. Mrs. Morris thinks I wrote that letter, and she thinks I'm in love with her. Now she'll fall in love with me.
Oh, no, she's got more sense.
That's what they said about your mother, and look what happened to her. Now, you've got to explain to Mrs. Morris.
Why don't you go?
Well, suppose her husband is there.
Well, then you'll explain to him. You're not afraid of him, are you?
Me, afraid? But suppose he won't listen.
Make him listen.
Well, he'll start a fight.
Then you'll fight him.
But I'm a coward. Ha-ha, I got you there. No, you've got to go, Junior. Us men have got to stick together. You're just like me, son. We're cut from the same mold. You're just as moldy as I am. We got to help each other. Will you go?
No, Pop, I'm just like you. I'm a coward, too.
What a revolting development this is.
Well, go on, Riley. Then what happened?
Well, I ran away, Gillis.
You ran?
Yeah.
Dope. Now they'll think you really wrote that love note.
But
Riley, maybe you did write it after all.
Oh, no, honest. I told you Junior
Riley,
was...
you can trust me. I'm your friend. I understand how these things happen. I'm a man of the world. A man sees a woman...
Gillis, you gotta believe me. I'm loyal to my wife. As far as other women are concerned, I'm just like you.
Now I know you're guilty.
Gillis, I swear to you...
All the swearing in the world ain't gonna help you when Morris comes after you.
Morris?
With a gun.
No, he wouldn't do that.
Oh, no? What would you do if some low sneak wrote love letters to your wife, tried to steal her away from you, break up your home? What would you do?
I'd kill the rat with my bare hands, and he'd deserve it. Any guy who'd... Wait a minute, no fair. I'm the rat.
Yeah, and Morris knows it. He comes after you with the gun.
It's against the law.
Not the unwritten law. He aims the gun at you. You jump him. There's a struggle. A shot rings out.
I'm killed. My troubles are over.
No, Morris is killed. Your troubles are just beginning. There you are in your living room with a body. You gotta hide it.
In the closet.
No.
My garage.
If they find it, they'll suspect you.
Your garage.
That's good.
Now I'm safe.
You think so? Some rat squeals for the cops.
Who?
Me. I don't want no bodies cluttering up my garage. The homicide squad comes. They take you to headquarters. They grill you till you confess.
I won't confess.
They make you confess.
I won't.
They shine a light in your eyes. You're sweating. It's hot. They don't give you nothing to drink. You're dying of thirst. Now will you confess?
Water.
Confess. No. You've done it.
No.
You loved her, so you killed her.
No.
You shot her.
All right, I shot him. I done it. Turn the light off. I confess.
Riley, you're gonna fine for this.
Oh, Adelaide.
What is it, Hobart?
Have you decided about the car?
Oh, yes, dear. We don't really need 2 cars, so I think you ought to sell the old one. Only,
Only what?
must we sell it to Riley? There are enough maniacs driving around the streets of Los Angeles as it is.
Oh, Riley's not so bad. I promised I'd give him first crack at it. I'll give him a call right now.
How much you going to ask?
Well, she's old, but she's in pretty good shape. I figure we ought to get a couple of $100 for her. Hello. Oh, hello, Mrs. Riley. Say, is Riley there? Oh.
Oh, Riley, I'm glad you're home. There was a phone call for you.
Phone call for me? Who was it? Who was it?
Well, now, don't get excited. It was only Mr. Morris.
Oh, Morris. For a minute, I thought it might be Morris.
Riley, come out of that closet. What are you doing in the closet?
But I'm looking for my gray pants.
You're wearing them.
I can never find anything in this house.
Oh, what's the matter with you?
Never mind me. What did Morris say?
Well, he's coming over to see you.
When?
Now.
What for? Did he say what for?
Well, he wouldn't tell me. He acted very mysterious. He said it was a private matter.
Oh.
And you'd know why.
Oh, I know.
Oh, what's wrong?
Nothing, Peg. Just remember, no matter what happens, I love you to the end.
What? Riley, will you do me a favor and lie down for a while? I'll talk to you when you make sense.
But, Peg, listen, will you?
I haven't got time for your nonsense. I gotta get supper ready.
She's right. I better lie down. I don't feel so good. Oh, what a mess. He'll be here any minute. That's him. He's here. All right, let him come. Okay, come and get me. I'm ready.
You're lying down, but you don't look ready to me.
Oh, it's you, Digger.
No nicknames, please. It's Digby Odell, the friendly undertaker.
Well, what brings you here, Diggerby?
Oh, just a social call. I took the night off. Business is slow. I've got lots of things on the shelf, but they're not moving.
Well, you may have a new customer soon. Any minute now, a guy's coming here to give me the business. And if he gives me the business, I'll give you the business.
Really?
Digger, put away that tape measure.
Forgive me, I'm just an eager beaver. What's the trouble, Riley?
Well, it all started on account of James Mason.
Who?
James Mason, the English actor. You know, Top Hole.
Top hole? No. Bottom hole, yes.
But actually, it's more my junior's fault.
Ah, yes, children can be aggravating. Yesterday, a gang of hoodlums sneaked into my business establishment and plastered signs all over my boxes. Oh, I was furious.
But why? What did the sign say?
Do not open until Christmas.
Well, I'm in worse trouble. There's a guy thinks I'm in love with his wife, and he's coming after me, maybe with a gun.
Oh, dear me, you must avoid this man. You've got to find a hideaway and lie low, and I'll help you.
No, he'll come after me and find me.
Not where I'll put you.
It's too late. He's here.
Oh, quick, the back way.
No, I ain't no coward.
Frankly, I am. Well, cheerio. I'd better be shoveling off.
All right, I'm coming.
Well, hello, Riley. I phoned
Morris,
before.
I know why you're here, but let's talk it over first. Let's be reasonable.
Of course, I'm not going to hold a gun on you.
Well, that's a relief.
Yes, I talked the whole thing over with my wife.
You did?
And you can have her.
You're giving her to me?
Well, for $300.
$300?
Well, I don't think that's asking too much. I've had her a long time, but I took good care of her. Of course, anything that's been in the family that long takes a beating. And especially with 4 kids. But all she really needs is a good paint job. Why, the body's in good shape. You've seen it.
I didn't look that close.
Now, look, Riley, I'm not saying she's perfect. Well, on a cold night, she's liable to start wheezing. So I just choke her a little and she stops.
You fiend! You monster!
Oh, wait a minute, Riley. I don't like your attitude. I'm not trying to palm off a total wreck on you. You can get plenty of use out of her.
You beast! Peg, come here, quick!
Are you out of your mind, Riley?
What's the matter, Riley?
Take a good look at this fiend. You know what he's trying to do? He's trying to sell me his wife. Under the table yet.
What? Why, he's mad. He's absolutely mad.
Don't try to deny it, Morris. I heard you. I was playing along with you to see how far you'd go.
Riley, you big idiot.
You ain't human, Morris. I would never try to get rid of my Peg, even if she could use a new paint job.
Why, for Pete's sake, Riley, will you
When
listen?
she starts wheezing on a cold night, I don't choke her. I give her nose drops.
Will you shut up a minute and listen to me? I came here to sell you my car. My car!
Your car? You mean the note? Peachy Pie? James Mason? Your wife? The old wreck? Choke? Why, the whole thing is as clear as day. Peg, Mrs. Morris don't want me. I'm still all yours.
What a revolting development this is.
The Rileys will return in just a moment. At the first sign of unsightly dandruff, it's time to use Prell, Procter & Gamble's Radiant Cream Shampoo in the handy tube. For in addition to leaving hair radiantly lovely, Prell leaves hair radiantly clean, too, free of embarrassing dandruff. Yes, in as little as 3 minutes, Prell removes ugly dandruff flakes. Doctors' examinations proved it. In most cases, even stubborn dandruff was controlled by only 2 Prell shampoos a week. Using Prell's a pleasure, too, because of that handy tube. No waste, no spills. Try it the very next time you shampoo. For hair that's radiantly lovely, free of unsightly dandruff, get Prell.
P-R-E-L-L, Prell shampoo leaves hair radiant, gleaming bright. Not a bit of dandruff is in sight. Comes in a tube, handy too. P-R-E-L-L, Prell shampoo.
Good night, folks.
Procter & Gamble invites you to join us again next week to hear The Life of Riley with William Bendix as Riley. The script is by Reuben Shipp, Alan Lipscott, and Dick Powell. Mrs. Riley is Paula Winslow. Digger Odell is John Brown. The Life of Riley is produced by Irving Brecker. And remember, for more radiant hair, free of unsightly dandruff, get the shampoo in the tube. P-R-E-L-L. Prell shampoo.
My new nylons are so sheer, I'm really afraid to wash them.
You mean you don't know they're safe in snow? Yes, safe in wonderful Ivory Snow. Yes, lovely stockings stay lovely longer with Ivory Snow Care. Its ivory mildness helps safeguard stocking glamour, reduces stocking runs. Ivory Snow is speedy, too, gives instant suds even in cool water. It's the only soap, both ivory mild and granulated for efficiency. There's no other soap like it. Ivory Snow is wonderful for all nice washables. Your hands will tell you why. Wash dishes with Ivory Snow as millions do. See how it pampers your hands. Then you'll know why lovely washables can stay lovely longer with wonderful Ivory Snow.
And this is Ken Niles reminding you to listen again next Friday when Procter & Gamble brings you a full hour of entertainment. First, Red Skelton, and then The Life of Riley. Good night.
This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.
We appreciate you spending your time with us. Classic Radio JAR 101.
Mother, is Maxwell House the best coffee in the whole world?
Well, your father says so, and your father knows best.
Yes, it's Father Knows Best, transcribed in Hollywood, starring Robert Young as father. A half-hour visit with your neighbors, the Andersons, brought to you by Maxwell House, the coffee that's bought and enjoyed by more people than any other brand of coffee at any price. Maxwell House, always good to the last drop. A wonderful bird is the pelican. His bill will hold more than his belly can. He can take in his beak food enough for a week. As for flying, you know, gosh darn well he can. With this bit of deathless verse, we hie us to Springfield in the white frame house on Maple Street. There we find the Andersons at dinner, and there, as usual, we find a problem. It's all about socks. Or is it a dress? Or, well, it's about something like this.
So this little girl said to me, Kathy, she said, I'm going away. I'm going out west where there's wide open spaces and cattle and rustlers and bandits and everything. And I said to her, you are? And she said to me...
Kathy.
Yes, Daddy?
Pass the butter, please.
Yes, Daddy.
They only cost $2, Dad, and that's for the cap and the socks.
It's a bargain, Bud. That's what it is. An absolute bargain.
You mean I can get them?
No. This is very good roast, Margaret.
Oh, well, thank you, dear.
If it's a bargain, why can't I get them?
Because I'm not giving you the $2, that's why.
Oh.
And she said to me, I'm tired of being treated like a criminal. That's what. And I said to her...
Kathy.
Yes, Daddy?
Has anyone ever told you that you talk too much?
Oh, yes. And I said to her, who's treating you like a criminal? And she said...
Father, it was $15.95 less than a week ago, and now it's only $8.50.
Betty, I wasn't finished.
And if you can give Bud $2 for something dopey like a hat and socks that light up...
They don't light up, Betty. They just look like they light up.
I wasn't finished.
Mother, it's in that new shade of gunmetal, and if I don't get it, I'll simply die.
We'll miss you, dear.
Father gave him the $2, and you can see Joe coming 2 blocks away.
I don't care if you can see him clear over in West Springfield.
So I said, why do you have to go out west? And she said...
Kathy.
What?
We don't care.
You don't?
Kathy, you haven't touched your dinner.
I'm not very hungry.
Kathy, we have an appointment to spend the evening with Mr. and Mrs. Smith. We haven't got all night to fool around, so... Eat your dinner and behave yourself.
What if I was riding along on my bicycle and the truck driver didn't see me?
What truck driver?
Any truck driver. If I had a fluorescent cap on...
Bud.
Yes?
No.
Father.
I am not going to give Bud $2 for pink socks. And I'm not going to give you $8.50 for a dress. Now, is that understood?
But, Father, I need it.
All right, then it's up to you to figure some way of getting it.
That's what I was trying to do.
You're a grown girl, Betty. You're 17 years old. If your entire life depends on getting a dress, go out and earn the money for it.
Dad.
When I was a boy, I worked for the things I wanted. And I didn't feel I was too good to work at anything that came along.
Dad.
I washed dishes, shoveled snow, dug ditches.
Dad.
Bud, will you please stop interrupting me?
But I want to ask you something. If I earn the money, then can I buy the socks?
Yes. Where was I?
You were building the Panama Canal.
Betty.
It's all right, Margaret. Let's just be thankful that we have one sensible child.
Yes, dear. But which one would that be?
Why, Kathy.
Kathy? Me?
That's right, Kathy. She wanted the doll, but did she bother me for the money? No. She's earning it by selling those Pelican banks.
Kathleen.
I'm sorry, Mommy. I guess it slipped.
Kathy, what's the matter with you?
Why, nothing, Daddy.
Jim, something is the matter. She's shaking like a leaf.
I'll get it.
You stay right where you are. Bud?
That isn't the doorbell.
It's the phone. Answer it.
I'm supposed to answer the doorbell. Why do I have to answer the phone, too?
That's what's wrong with this country. We're a nation of specialists. I suppose he expects time and a half for answering anything but doorbells.
Jim.
Oh. All right, Kathy. What is it?
I'll go away, Daddy. I'll go out west and start all over again. I won't bring disgrace to the family.
What brought that on?
Betty, it's for you.
Thank you, Bud. I'll be right there.
Kathy, this little girl you've been talking about, that wouldn't be you, would it?
Wouldn't it?
You see, Dad, all Betty had to do was answer it in the first place.
Sit down and finish your dinner.
Holy cow.
Kathy, what have you done?
I was trying to save them some trouble, Daddy. That's all I was doing.
Save who trouble?
The Pelican people. They said it was worth $2, so I didn't think they'd mind.
What was worth $2?
The doll.
Now, look, Kathy...
Jim, if we're going over to the Smiths...
This is just as important as going over to the Smiths, Margaret. If Kathy's done anything wrong...
But I haven't, Daddy.
Then why all this hogwash about being a cattle rustler in the wide open spaces?
Because they said I did, and I didn't.
Well, while you're trying to figure that out, I'll go upstairs and comb my hair.
You do that. Go upstairs and comb everybody's hair. Kathy.
Yes, Daddy?
Start from the beginning.
About what, Daddy?
The Pelicans. What did you do?
Well, they said in the comic book that if I sent away for 12 plastic Pelican banks and sold them for 50 cents apiece, they'd give me a doll worth $2 whole.
And you sent away for them?
Uh-huh.
All right, up to there it makes sense. Now, how many did you sell?
4.
Only 4?
Well, everybody else sent away for them, too. They were trying to sell them to me.
Kathy, if you can't sell the other 8, just send them back.
I did. And they got mad and sent them back to me.
Well, that doesn't seem logical. As long as you sent them the $2 for the 4 you sold, you did send them that, didn't you?
How could I? I used that to pay for the doll.
Kathy.
They said they were going to send me a doll, and I just thought I'd save them the trouble, and I bought the doll myself.
Where is it?
The doll?
The doll.
It died.
Kathy.
I was playing Red Cross with Patty Davis, and that was the doll we used for blood confusions.
She means transfusions, Dad.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Kathy.
Confusion means something else. Like when you see a boy on a bicycle and he isn't wearing a fluorescent...
Father, the most wonderful thing has happened. Marion Swift has a cold.
Well, that's nice. Maybe if she's real lucky, it'll turn into pneumonia.
Father.
Well, what did you expect me to say? Marion Swift has a cold.
But don't you see? She was going going to babysit for the Hathaways tonight and Friday and Saturday. And now she can't, and I'm going to.
Well, that's more like it. We're finally beginning to show a little ambition around here.
I've got to be at the Hathaways in 5 minutes. Where's Mother?
I'll tell you, Mother. You just go ahead.
Oh, Father, I've never been so happy in my whole life. That beautiful dress.
Say, I've got an idea.
Well, treat it gently. It's in a strange place.
What an idea. I'll make $1 million. Betty, hey, Betty, wait a minute. I want to ask you something.
And he wanted to tell me what confusion was. All right, Kathy, now, where were we?
They were going to put me in prison.
No one's going to put you in prison.
But the letter said I was responsible, and I have to send them $6, and I don't have $6.
I'll give you $2, and you can send them that and the rest of the banks.
They don't want them. The man said they've got enough banks.
Oh, fine.
What am I going to do, Daddy?
Well, there's only one thing you can do. You've got to sell the other 8 Pelicans.
But I tried, and I couldn't.
Well, you didn't go about it the right way. You've got to create a market, build up a desire for Pelicans, make the entire neighborhood Pelican Bank conscious.
How do I do that?
Well, it's very simple, Kathy. Put up little signs, advertise, get yourself a slogan and spread it all over town, like Pelicans, they fill the bill. Or you can bank on Kathy's Pelican.
You mean then they'll buy them?
Of course. With men who know their banking best, it's Pelicans 2 to 1.
Watch the Pelicans go by.
That's the idea.
Pelicans are better than ever.
Now you're rolling.
Be a Pelican of distinction.
That's enough, Kathy.
What this country needs is a good 5-cent Pelican.
I said that's enough.
I'm sorry, Daddy. I guess I was just carried away.
That isn't a bad idea either.
Jim, I'm ready.
Just a second, honey. Now, are you all straightened out?
Oh, yes, Daddy.
Good.
Jim, while you're getting your coat, I want to tell Where are Betty and Bud?
Margaret, you can make fun of my little lectures all you like. But every once in a while, they do hit home.
Daddy told me how to sell my Pelican banks, Mommy.
Oh, that's fine, dear. Jim, Betty and Bud haven't even started on the dishes. Where are they?
Oh, I guess I forgot about the dishes, honey. But you know that little talk I gave them tonight? Well, Betty has already gotten a job as a babysitter.
She has she?
That's right.
And Bud?
I don't know. He went off screaming that he's going to make millions. Really took it to heart. Don't take your coat off, Margaret. I'll be ready to go in 2 seconds.
To go where?
To the Smiths, naturally.
And who is going to take care of Kathy?
Oh, no. How could anybody be that stupid?
Oh, Daddy, you aren't stupid.
Stop arguing, Kathleen. This is one time when your father knows best.
These days, coffee's making good news in grocery stores everywhere. In city markets and country stores alike, grocers are featuring Maxwell House coffee at lower prices. Yes, now the coffee with that wonderful good-to-the-last-drop flavor comes to you at the lowest prices in months. And it's a mighty welcome occasion for everyone. You, your grocer, and for us Maxwell House people, too. You see, we have one aim with our coffee: to bring you the most in flavor and enjoyment every pound you buy. To bring you truly good coffee at the lowest possible price. That's our way of doing business. And it seems you folks like it. You've made our Maxwell House coffee America's favorite brand. Because you can count on that famous flavor every cup you pour. Because you find more flavor for your money, vacuum-packed in that familiar blue tin. And at today's prices, Maxwell House is more than ever today's coffee buy. Look for it, featured these days at the lowest prices in months. Enjoy the coffee that's always good to the last drop.
It's sometime later in Springfield. We don't know exactly how much later,
But believe me, it's later than you think. Bud is well on his way to a fluorescent cap and socks. Betty has her dress. And Kathy, well, Kathy has her pelicans. Put them all together and what his father got. That's right, a headache like this.
Oh, yes, Mrs. Lawson. We guarantee all our babysitters.
Bud, will you please get off the phone?
Just a minute, Mrs. Lawson, please. Dad, Mrs. Lawson is a brand new customer. I have to be polite to her.
I would like to use the phone.
You bet, Dad. Hello, Mrs. Lawson? No, it was just my father.
Bud.
Well, I can give you Joe Phillips. He's one of our best babysitters.
Bud.
Oh, yes, ma'am. He's as good as any girl babysitter in town.
Bud.
That's 8 o'clock Friday. Okay, Mrs. Lawson, he'll be there. And thank you very much. Isn't that wonderful, Dad? That's 3 for just Friday.
Let me have the phone.
But I have to call Joe before he goes out.
Let me have the phone.
Holy cow, Dad. This is business. I wouldn't care if it was...
Oh, no.
Excuse me, Dad. Anderson Babysitters Incorporated, Bud Anderson.
Now I've heard everything.
Oh, sure. He's right here. It's for you.
Well, how did that ever happen?
Please don't talk too long, Dad. I've got important things to do.
Yes. Hello? Oh, yes, Mr. Bryant.
Kathy's principal?
Just a minute, please, Bud.
Yes, Dad?
Go away.
But I have to...
Go away.
Good gravy. Try to run a business around this place.
I'm sorry, Mr. Bryant. I was just telling my son... They have? They were? She did? Well, naturally you'd be upset. Yes, of course. Oh, I promise you it'll never happen again. Thank you, Mr. Bryant, and thank you for calling. Good night. Kathy!
Did you call me, Daddy?
I just got a call from Mr. Bryant.
The principal?
The principal. And he tells me you've been defacing public property.
I have?
Well, haven't you?
Oh, no, Daddy. I wouldn't do a thing like that.
Mr. Bryant said you've practically ruined the entire west wall of the school.
Oh, I did not. All I did was write signs on it.
Kathy.
Well, you told me to advertise, Daddy. I just wrote slogans about the pelicans.
I told you to write little signs on paper. I didn't tell you to put chalk marks all over the school.
It wasn't chalk, Daddy. It was paint.
Oh, I don't believe it.
I didn't think anybody would mind, and I sold practically all the pelicans.
Pelicans. Morning, noon, and night pelicans. Kathy, why do you do things like this to me?
But it was my best printing, Daddy. I thought you'd be proud of me.
I've got to pay to have the whole wall cleaned.
Maybe if I told Mr. Bryant I was sorry.
That'll do a lot of good, telling him you're sorry.
Mr. Anderson?
Good evening, officer. Now what have we done?
May I come in?
Oh, sure. Just come on in and make yourself at home.
Thank you. Miserable night, isn't it?
Yes, miserable. Don't go away, Kathy. This probably concerns you.
Yes, Daddy.
Go ahead, officer.
Mr. Anderson, we understand that you are operating an employment office at this address.
That's my son. Bud, the king of the boy babysitters.
I guess it isn't anything I did, huh, Daddy?
All right, get back to whatever you were doing.
Thank you, Daddy.
Mr. Anderson, your son has been operating an employment office, charging a fee of 10%, and he has no state license.
A license? Well, they're just kids.
I know, but the state law says...
Officer, all he did was organize the boys of the neighborhood as babysitters. And they pay him a fee.
That's the point, Mr. Anderson. They pay him a fee. And in order to collect that fee, he must have a state license. There's a fine of $500.
Bud!
While we naturally feel...
Bud!
You want me, Dad?
Come in here.
Now, there's no reason to be upset, Mr. Anderson. I'm sure you can explain to the judge.
Judge? You mean I have to go to court?
Well, according to the law, I have to give you a summons, but I'm sure that if you explain...
Bud!
What's the matter, Dad?
You name it, and we've got it. Kathy puts paint all over the school. You run an employment office without a license.
A what?
Father!
Mr. Anderson, if you'll just...
Margaret!
sister did to me.
I didn't know you needed a license.
My new dress, my beautiful dress. Is anything wrong, Jim?
Is anything right? That's the question.
I'll be right down.
Nobody said you needed a license to be a babysitter.
All I did was sit on the bench at the bus stop and look at it. Pelicans.
Steve!
Mr. Anderson.
I'm coming, Daddy.
If the girls can be babysitters and they don't need a license, why do we need a license?
You were running an employment agency. You were getting jobs for people.
Just babysitting jobs.
Did you want me, Daddy? Kathy, I could strangle you. I didn't do anything.
Look at your sister's dress.
My pelicans, it worked.
Mr. Anderson,
Don't they look wonderful, Daddy? And it was my idea. The first time I've even had the dress on and look at it.
Kathy, what was your idea?
Well, drawing pelicans on the benches with chalk. Then when the people sit down, they get pelicans on them.
Oh, Kathy.
And then when they walk around, everybody sees them. Isn't that the way you advertise?
Kathy, go up to your room.
But you said if I wanted to sell pelicans.
I said go up to your room.
Gee whiz. I babysat for 3 whole nights and look at my dress.
Betty, stop acting like an infant. It's only chalk and we'll have it cleaned.
But I was going to wear it tonight.
You can wear something else.
Jumping creepers.
Dad.
I'll talk to you in just a minute. Officer.
Mr. Anderson, let's just forget the whole thing, shall we?
What you said.
About the summons? Brother, if I gave you a ticket, I couldn't sleep tonight.
You, couldn't, huh?
I don't have any kids of my own.
Would you like some of mine?
No. I'll just tell them down at the station that everything's all taken care of.
Well, thank you, officer.
And there won't be any more of, you know.
The employment office folded 5 minutes ago.
That's the idea.
Thanks again, officer.
Good luck, Mr. Anderson. And, brother, you can use it.
Good night.
How did I know you needed a license? Nobody told
Bud.
me.
Jim, what on earth is going on down here?
Margaret, 5 minutes ago, I was practically on my way to jail.
What?
A $500 fine. That's what it was going to cost me.
Jim, that's impossible. How could a little girl like Kathy
It wasn't Kathy. It was Bud.
Bud? Oh, Bud, how could you?
How could I what?
Look, Margaret, it's all over now, so let's just forget about it. But the next time anybody says babysitter or pelican or... Bud, what have you got in your hand?
In my hand?
What is it?
What is it?
Bud, will you stop repeating everything I say? What have you got in your hand?
A pelican.
Take it outside and burn it.
But it's Kathy's, Dad. I found it on the dining room table.
I said burn it. Put it in the incinerator. I never want to see another pelican as long as I live.
But this is the last one.
Good. Let's make sure it is the last one.
Mom?
Do as your father tells you, Bud.
You mean a perfectly good pelican?
Bud?
Holy cow.
Jim.
Honey, we've got to do something about the children.
I know, dear, but...
When you get to the point where a policeman feels sorry for you... well, that's the end.
Jim, I don't know what you're talking about, but I do know that you've broken Kathy's heart.
Well, that isn't where she's going to be affected next.
She's been working very hard, and she's been doing it all for you.
For me?
That's what she said.
She didn't have to paint signs all over the school to sell 8 puny little pelicans.
8? She's already sold 8 dozen.
What?
8 dozen. And she's getting more orders every day.
But why? What can she possibly do with that many dolls?
She's going to sell them, too, and give you the money to pay for the damage she's done.
Well...
Frankly, I think you owe her an apology.
Margaret.
Kathy!
Honey, you don't know what she's been doing. She smeared paint all over the school.
You want me, Mommy?
Your father has something to say to you, dear.
Okay.
She put chalk pelicans all over the bus benches. And if I have to pay for cleaning the clothes of all the people who sat down on them...
Here I am, Daddy.
Go ahead, Jim.
Kathy, Your mother tells me you've been selling a lot of pelicans.
Oh, I have, Daddy. I've sold 95, and when I sell one more, I'll be all finished.
Well, that's fine, dear. I'm very proud of you.
I've got almost $48, and when I sell the last pelican... Gosh,
Well, what is it, Kathy?
my pelican, what happened to it?
Kathy,
But I just saw it. It was in the dining room, and I went upstairs.
we won't worry about that pelican, Kathy. I'll give you the 50 cents, and we'll consider the whole matter closed.
Oh, Daddy, you have to help me. I have to find the pelican.
Sweetheart, one little pelican isn't that important.
This one is. That's where I hid all the money.
Oh, no.
The coffee section in your grocery store. That's the place to see welcome news these days. In stores everywhere, grocers are featuring Maxwell House at lower prices. Now, all you folks who drink Maxwell House every day can enjoy it at the lowest price in months. And for those of you who haven't been getting that wonderful good to the last drop flavor, now's a good time to open up a familiar blue Maxwell House tin and start enjoying truly good coffee. Find out how much real pleasure comes to you with that famous flavor. Flavor you can count on every cup you drink. For we'll never compromise on the quality of a single pound. Tomorrow, look for Maxwell House at the lowest prices in months. Now, more than ever, today's coffee buy. You'll get your money's worth and more with Maxwell House coffee. Because it's always good to the last drop.
Digging into our book of Proverbs, we find a happy facet to our sad little tale. All is well that ends well. That's what they say. And so let's listen in at the Anderson breakfast table to a happier conclusion than we might imagine. Like this.
Jim.
Margaret, I'm in no mood to discuss anything. May I please be permitted the pleasure of suffering in silence?
But Bud has something very important to tell you.
Oh, yes. I'm sure it must be. Well, go ahead, Bud.
Dad, I'm sorry I disobeyed you.
About what?
About the pelican, but gosh, I didn't see any sense to burning a perfectly good thing like that.
What?
He didn't burn it, Jim.
He didn't?
I found it up in his room.
With the money?
Yes, dear.
Oh.
I'm sorry, Dad.
Bud, don't ever disobey me again.
No, Dad.
It's the worst thing a boy can do.
I know, Dad.
When I give you an order, I expect it to be carried out.
Yes, Dad.
So, here's $2. Go get yourself a fluorescent cap and socks.
On the other hand, there's another proverb. Everything hath an end, it says, and a pudding hath two. Kathy, it would seem, is the other end of the pudding. Like this.
Daddy!
Kathy, don't you think you've caused enough trouble around here for the time being?
Oh, but this isn't any trouble, Daddy. This is just wonderful. I won the prize.
What prize?
I sold more pelican danks than anybody in Springfield, and they gave me the grand prize.
That's fine.
And you know what it is? A real live pelican.
Tell the kids it's a hot favorite with Hoppy. That's hot post wheat meal. You shouldn't let youngsters go to school without a hot cereal these mornings. So just tell them how Hopalong Cassidy goes for hot post wheat meal and watch those kids gobble it up. Post wheat meal has a rich nut-like flavor. It's crammed with solid nourishment. It cooks in just 3.5 minutes. And tell the kids it's Hoppy's favorite. You'll see, you'll all agree. It's the best hot cereal you ever ate.
Join us again next week when we'll be back with Father Knows Best, starring Robert Young as Jim Anderson, with Roy Bargy and the Maxwell House Orchestra, and yours truly, Bill Foreman. So until next Thursday, good night and good luck from the makers of Maxwell House, America's favorite brand of coffee. Always good to the last drop. Father Knows Best was transcribed in Hollywood and written by Ed James. Now stay tuned in for Dragnet, which follows immediately over most of these stations.
On this book, starring Eve Arden. It's time once again for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks, transcribed. But first, you get through the more comfortable part. With but one exception, Brooks is on the friendliest of terms with her fellow English teachers at Madison High School. The lone exception being Miss Daisy Enright.
You might call Miss Enright and me friendly enemies. That is, we're enemies because we're both friendly with Mr. Boynton. But since I was stuck at home with a cold most of last week, Miss Enright was able to out-friend me with him by dating him every night. So there we were, me in with a steaming inhalator and her out steaming Mr. Boynton. Well, after a restless night, I got up at 6:30 Friday morning, roused my landlady, and a few minutes later, we were in the breakfast room.
What an unearthly hour to be getting up. How do you feel, Connie?
Unearthly, Mrs. Davis. I took a look at myself in the mirror, and I think my face broke.
My goodness, that's 7 years bad luck.
Just put them on my bill. I have a charge account in the bad luck union. What are we having for breakfast?
I'm afraid it'll be rather stupid, dear. You know that Rhode Island hen I'm keeping in the backyard? The one that the butcher told me would lay an egg for us every morning?
Yes.
The poor little thing didn't feel up to it this morning.
Well, don't look at me. I don't feel up to it either. I'll just have some coffee.
You're out of coffee, dear. I made tea.
I'll take tea, then.
I drank it. Here's a glass of milk. It's nice and cold, isn't it?
The toast is.
So's the milk. I think it's a good idea to have cold drinks during this unseasonable hot spell we're having. The weather's really been balmy.
Aren't we all? Mr. Boynton remarked that it seemed like summer when he called me late last night. He promised to call me early in the evening, but he was unable to get home until after midnight.
What kept him out so late?
A Rhode Island hen named Miss Enright. She happened to drop by in her car. Then she happened to take Mr. Boynton for a drive. Then she happened to run out of gas. Where? In the hills, Natch. Mr. Boynton told me all about it. Had to walk 3 miles to a service station and 3 miles back with a can of gas.
A 6-mile hike. Imagine. Then what happened, Connie?
Nothing. Miss Enright was so cooped out from that long walk, she just drove him home.
Miss Enright hiked to the gas station.
Yes, he said he felt it his duty as a man to stick with the car and see that nobody stole it.
Well, how do you like that? Mr. Boynton isn't the most romantic chap in the world, is he?
No, but he ranks right behind Barry Fitzgerald. He did make a date with me for tonight, though. He's going to take me out.
Out where, Connie?
Out to his backyard. The weather's been so mild, he suggested that we have a barbecue out there, Mrs. Davis. The king, he dipped into his toolkit yesterday and built a barbecue pit out of an old bathtub.
My, he is handy, isn't he?
With tools, yes, but give him a woman and he's all thumbs. Good morning, Harriet.
Oh, hi, Miss Brooks. Welcome back to school.
Thanks.
Oh, I was awfully sorry to hear about your cold. There are an awful lot of germs going around, aren't there?
Yes, but let's leave Miss Enright out of this. I've got to report to your father, Harriet. Routine check-in, you know. Mr. Conklin's in his office, I suppose.
Well, he is, but I'd better warn you, Miss Brooks. Daddy's in a very nasty mood this morning. It's Codfish Balls Day.
Codfish Balls Day? Is that a legal holiday?
I guess you don't understand. You see, every Friday, Mother makes codfish balls for dinner. And Daddy hates them so much it just ruins his whole day thinking about them. Lately, he's hit upon a cunning scheme to palm them off on guests.
On guests? That I don't understand either.
Well, last Friday, Daddy invited Miss Enright over for dinner. And this morning, he offered her another invitation. But this time, she turned it down. You see, Mother just cooks enough for the family, Miss Brooks. So when Daddy gives his portion to the guests, there's nothing Mom can do about it. That'll give you an idea how chagrined he feels about codfish balls.
I imagine the codfish feel the same way about him. This is all very enlightening, Harriet, but I really must go in and report. See you later.
All right, Miss Brooks. Bye now.
Good morning, Mr. Conklin.
Well, if it isn't my favorite T-shirt. Bless you, Miss Brooks. Bless you. How it warms the cockles of my heart to see you again. Your nasty cold kept you away from me for several days, you naughty girl. Well, you simply must make up for it by letting me see more of you, mustn't you?
Forgive me, sir, but I don't understand.
My dear, I want you to come over to my house tonight for dinner.
Now I do. I mean, I'm sorry, sir, but I have a date with Mr. Boynton.
With Boynton, you say? Well, bring him along. The more, the merrier. Gad, what a ball you'll have.
You'll have the ball, Mr. Conklin. Mr. Boynton and I have already made plans for a little barbecue in his backyard.
A barbecue? Oh, barbecue, eh? No doubt you'll be feasting on my favorite, barbecued ribs.
Yes, we'll have ribs, I suppose.
With the hot sauce?
With hot sauce.
I have an idea. Since you can't come to my house, suppose I join you in Boynton, and we'll have a million laughs.
Sorry, there'll be just enough food for two.
Well, I'd better get busy. If I make this a day of intensive work, perhaps I'll be able to get those things off my mind. That's the ticket. Work. You may go now, Miss Brooks.
Yes, sir. Goodbye, and a happy work day to you, sir.
And a happy back-to-school day to you.
And a happy Codfish Falls day to you. Good morning, Mr. Boynton.
Miss Brooks. Gosh, you're a sight for sore eyes.
I want to thank you for being so thoughtful when I had my cold, Mr. Boynton.
Oh, did you like the gift?
Very much. I still have some left.
Glad you liked it.
It's the nicest box of Kleenex I ever got.
Just a little remembrance, that's all. Say, you were locked in at home for quite a spell. Must feel good to get out, huh?
Oh, yes, indeed. I can't begin to describe the eagerness with which I'm looking forward to this evening, Mr. Boynton. We ought to have loads of fun.
We?
We. Yes. You and me. Us.
Apparently there's been a misunderstanding. Tonight I have a date with Miss Enright.
I'll say there's been a misunderstanding. Mr. Boynton, when you called me last night, you distinctly said, and I quote, "We'll have a barbecue in my backyard tomorrow night."
Oh, I get it now. When I phoned you, Miss Brooks, if you recall, it was after midnight. So when I said tomorrow night, I didn't mean tonight. I meant tomorrow night, which is tomorrow.
From the motion picture, our Miss Brooks holds the bag again.
Gosh, I'm sorry if I've disappointed you.
Well, you have.
I wouldn't deliberately hurt your feelings for the world, you know that. But then I wouldn't want to hurt Miss Enright either. Wait a minute. I have a suggestion that might meet with your approval. Suppose I hold the barbecue tonight and have both of you over. You and Miss Enright.
Is that your best offer?
That's all I can do.
Then I accept. But will there be enough food?
Oh, don't worry about that. Miss Enright and I went to the movies last Wednesday, and it was grocery night. I want a whole box of stuff, big enough to feed a horse.
Well, that'll take care of Miss Enright, but what about us?
Now, just one brushing with Colgate Dental Cream removes up to 85% of the...
So the barbecue was to be a triple-decker affair with Mr. Boynton, Miss Enright, and me in the middle. Well, since I've always been one to blush at playing the lettuce in an eternal triangle sandwich, I discreetly avoided contact with Miss Enright during our morning classes. At noon, I strolled into the school cafeteria, and upon making certain that her saddle was not hanging in the check room, I proceeded to my usual table, where Walter Denton greeted me with characteristic effusion.
The salutations of first flowering. Your recent absence from these hallowed halls chased me to the quick, Miss Brooks. But now I rejoice to see you back in harness.
Thanks, Walter. Pull up a chair for me, and I'll hitch old Dobbin to the shed.
Certainly. Yeah, how about this corner one?
Nicely concealed, isn't it? That's perfect, because if Miss Enright should come in, I'd like to avoid her.
Harriet told me Mr. Boynton's going to have a barbecue in his backyard tonight, and Miss Enright's been invited.
So have I.
Well, you too?
It's coeducational.
Well, I hope you have a lot of fun. What are you going to barbecue?
Miss Enright, I hope.
You shouldn't say things like that, Miss Brooks. Well, in view of the fact that she's constantly praising your beauty, I really can't understand your aversion to Miss Enright. Why, only this morning she passed a very complimentary remark about your hair, I thought.
Miss Enright did? What did she say?
Oh, she said that you have the loveliest blonde hair she's ever seen on a brunette. She claims that she's naturally blonde.
Let's drop Miss Enright, shall we? I think if we try real hard, we might come up with a more pleasant topic.
Hello there, Walter.
Oh, hi, Miss Enright.
The cafeteria is a bit crowded today. May I sit here with you and your mother?
Mother?
Oh, it's you, Miss Brooks. Oh, forgive my taking you for Walter's mother, darling. But you are looking younger every day.
Thanks, Grandma. Pull up a sturdy couch and sit down.
Oh, you're sweet. But this chair will do.
Excuse me a minute, ladies. I've got to go and get some pie. Hold my place. I'll be right back.
How nice to be alone with you, Miss Brooks. I do enjoy your company. As a matter of fact, Mr. Boynton told me that we'll all be together at the barbecue tonight, and I was delighted to learn that you're going to horn in on us.
My pleasure.
Now, don't you disappoint me, darling. If you fail to show up, I'll simply die.
That's okay. You'll still have 8 more lives to go.
I do adore your sense of humor, Miss Brooks. It might interest you to know that I made a date with Mr. Boynton for this coming Sunday. It's my birthday. Your birthday.
If I knew it was coming, I'd have baked a bomb.
All right, now let's stop fencing and lay our cards on the table, shall we? As for me...
We're out of pie, so I got ice cream.
Don't interrupt, Walter. As for me, Miss Brooks, I have long cherished our friendship with the deepest possible degree of repugnance. I loathe
love you, darling, from the bottom of my heart. From way back there. Miss Enright, I'm shocked. I think you ought to apologize for those terrible things you said to Miss Brooks. After all...
Excuse me, folks.
Oh, hello, Mr. Boynton. Dear Mr. Boynton, do sit down. There's a chair for you right over here, Mr. Boynton. Just walk around Miss Enright. That's too long a trip. He might run out of gas again.
I'll just take your chair, Miss Brooks.
Mine?
I saw Mr. Conklin a minute ago, and he said he wants you to get right back to your classroom. If you missed a few days of school, you're behind in some reports which must be turned in before your afternoon classes, Miss Brooks.
Oh, great. Well, I'll catch up with you later, Mr. Boynton. So long, Walter. Yeah, so long, Miss Brooks. Goodbye, Connie. Goodbye, Daisy.
I like that, Miss Enright.
What, Mr. Boynton?
The way you and Miss Brooks address each other with such affection.
Affection?
It really gives me a warm feeling inside. Here you two are dating the same man tonight, and yet you're utterly free of petty jealousies. Well, I've known women in similar circumstances who do nothing but hurl catty remarks at each other. That's something I can't stand.
Really, Mr. Boynton?
Yes, indeed. But a wholesome, warm-hearted woman of goodwill who at all times speaks endearingly of another woman, well, that's the woman for me.
Oh, well, that's very interesting. But you know how I feel about Miss Brooks. She's not only remarkably intelligent, but breathtakingly beautiful. Huh?
I like you for saying that, Miss Enright.
Just a minute. Before Mr. Boynton came over here, you were saying... your ice cream, Walter. Yes, Mr. Boynton, every time I see dear Miss Brooks, I just want to hug her like the doll she is. Please, Miss Enright, not while I'm eating. So if you want to get anywhere with Mr. Boynton, you've just got to be a wholesome, warm-hearted woman of goodwill, Miss Brooks. It's the old story. You can catch more flies with honey than you can with vinegar. But I couldn't be so hypocritical as to coat Miss Enright with honeyed words, Walter. Well, just feed her the honey when Mr. Boynton's around. The minute he's gone, you can slip her the vinegar again. I think you ought to give it a whirl at the barbecue, Miss Brooks. What have you got to lose? Well, maybe it is worth a try. All right, Walter, I'll take along some Mother Sill's pills and hug her like a doll. Thanks for the tip. Yeah, don't mention it. See you later, Miss Brooks.
Where are you heading, Walter?
Oh, it's down to the phone booth to call home, Mr. Boynton. My folks are going to visit relatives today, so I want to remind them to leave some money for me so I can have dinner at the drugstore. I guess I'll have to dine alone.
Alone? And at the drugstore? Nonsense. I have plenty of food, Walter. Would you like to join us at the barbecue?
Yes, I would, boy. I'll be there, Mr. Boynton.
Good afternoon, Boynton. Good afternoon, sir.
Oh, what sheer delight it is to see you, Miss Conklin. If there's anything that brings boundless joy to these tired old eyes, it's the sight of our beloved principal, whose genial personality and outstanding leadership have won him the love and respect of every...
Oh, shut up!
Talk to the boy who may someday be your son-in-law.
Out of my sight, boob!
Bye, Mr. Boynton. Bye, Miss Conklin. I'll see you today, sir.
Mr. Boynton, my friend, I understand you're going to have a barbecue tonight in your backyard. Suppose I join you there and we'll have 1,000,000 laughs. Very much to invite you, Mr. Conklin, but, well, I've already invited Walter Denton, and obviously you don't get along well with him. Mr. Boynton, shall I tell you a little secret about Walter? What? I love that boy. What last time do we eat? I think I'll get some more charcoal for the barbecue pit, Miss Brooks. Excuse me.
Surely.
Strange. Every time I turn my back, I seem to hear a peculiar sound. Hard to describe. Maybe it's my imagination, but...
Oh, it must be. I didn't hear anything. I see you're making individual servings of hot sauce in separate pots, Miss Boynton.
Yes. Cute, aren't they? Oh, I wouldn't really call it hot sauce, though. Out of deference to the fair sex, I'm making it rather mild.
How very considerate.
We men can take the real peppery stuff, Miss Brooks, but I wouldn't want to make it too hot for you.
You never have.
What's that, Miss Brooks?
Skip it. Lovely night, isn't it, Miss Boynton? The firelight dancing in our eyes, shadows playing softly through the trees, the stars like platinum pendants hanging aloft, the full, lustrous moon.
Yes, indeed. This would be a great night for trapping gophers, Miss Brooks. They often come out of their burrows on nights like this, you know. Gophers are...
Whip out the traps. Here comes one now.
Hi there, Miss Enright.
Good evening, dear Mr. Boynton. And dear Miss Brooks, you look simply gorgeous. Oh, and you're ravishing. Your facial contours are magnificent. And your figure.
Excuse me, girls. I've got to keep an eye...
Well, go on, Miss Brooks. What are you going to say about my figure? Just that if your girdle snaps, we won't have any room for the table. Well, in that case, we could simply throw the table. Oh, something wrong, Mr. Boynton?
It's nothing serious. I just nicked my hand slightly with a barbecue knife.
Oh, well, come along inside with me, Mr. Boynton. I'll bandage your little hand for you.
Oh, you're very kind.
Oh, come along inside with me, Mr. Boynton. I'll bandage your hand for you. What a flirt. Good evening, Miss Brooks. Hello, Walter. Oh, Mr. Boynton. He's inside with Florence Nightingale. Hi, Mr. Boynton's turned his back on me this evening. The sauce is cooking in individual pots, Walter, so I'm fixing this one up special for Miss Enright. Yeah, but isn't that Tabasco sauce you're pouring in it? Uh-huh. So far, I poured in about a pinch more than half a pint. Mary, Mother, she eats that stuff, she'll explode. That's all right. I'll stick my fingers in my ears. When I serve her this little grenade, I've got a hunch she'll let me have Mr. Boynton to myself tonight. Look, maybe she won't suspect me if you serve it, Walter. Would you mind? Mind? It'll be a pleasure.
Thanks a lot, Miss Enright. I certainly appreciate... Oh, hello, Walter.
Hi, Mr. Boynton. How are you, Miss Enright? Oh, couldn't be better. But since I had to bandage poor Mr. Boynton's hand, he'll be unable to serve. If one of you would be good enough to volunteer... I have a recruit, Miss Enright. Walter Denton, Mess Sergeant, First Class. Oh, you're sweet, Walter. I myself would volunteer, of course, but it's such a dreadfully hot night. You'll find it'll get hotter as it goes along. I'll get things set up for you, Walter. Yes, thanks, Miss Brooks.
Greetings, one and all. Hello, Mr. Conklin, dear Mr. Boynton, and Miss Enright. Walter's here, too, Mr. Conklin.
Yes, good evening, sir.
Walter, my boy, my boy. Come close to me, son.
Huh?
When do we eat?
You can all sit down now, sir. I'll go help Miss Brooks. Oh, how's it going, Miss Brooks? Fine. These 3 plates contain spare ribs covered with Mr. Boynton's mild sauce. This lethal plate here contains spare ribs covered with the Tabasco Roman candle for Miss Enright. May heaven have mercy on her soul. Now, I'll serve them now while you put on the coffee, Miss Brooks. Excuse me.
Ah, here we are. Serve me that succulent dish, Denton.
Ladies first, sir. Here's your plate, Miss Enright.
No. No, it's this one.
Or is it? It doesn't really matter, Walter.
That's what you think. Here you are. Now, I'll just put my plate down here. Here's yours, Miss Franklin.
Bless you, bless you.
You'll be perking in a minute.
Yeah, and here's yours, Mr. Boynton.
No, give that to Miss Brooks. I'll wait till the coffee's ready. But I hope this sauce is hot. I love real hot sauce. Sorry, sir, but I made my mild sauce tonight. Oh, well, it smells delightful. Oh, yes, yes. Now to bite into this delectable morsel. Enough water!
Mr. Franklin!
Turn the hose on me, you fool! Oh, that's tough! It's like eating hot coals!
Don't be that hot, sir. I'll try mine. Try yours, Walter. Oh, sure. Try yours, Miss Brooks. Oh, sure. All together now.
Don't just sit there, Boyson! Pour that hot coffee down my throat to cool me off!
Heavens, I'm burning up alive.
Miss Brooks, how can you sit there calmly eating that plate of berries?
I'm lucky. I got the one with the Tabasco sauce.
Eve Arden as our Miss Brooks returns in just a moment. What makes America? Now, once again, here is our Miss Brooks.
Well, after sampling Mr. Boynton's barbecue sauce from a recipe entitled I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire, I just want to give you a little heartburn. Mr. Conklin, Walter Denton, and Miss Enright fled the scene, leaving me alone with the bashful biologist.
I can't understand it. I have many recipes for hot sauce, Miss Brooks, but I just gave them one of my mild ones. Ah, too bad. I guess I spoiled the party for you.
Spoiled the party?
Certainly. Instead of being surrounded by your friends, particularly Miss Enright, now you'll have to spend the evening with just me.
Well, we all have to make sacrifices now and then. I forgive you, Mr. Boynton.
You do? You mean it, Miss Brooks? Gosh, I think I could kiss you for that.
I think you could, too. I'm ready when you are. I know I'll blush like the very Dickens, but, well, just one kiss. Here you are. Well, Mr. Boynton?
Water! Water!
It's a lucky thing I gave him one of my mild ones.
Hey, thanks for listening to Classic Radio JAR 101.
Petri Wine brings you Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce in the new adventures of Sherlock Holmes. The Petri family, the family that took time to bring you good wine, invites you to listen to Dr. Watson tell us another exciting adventure he shared with his old friend, that master detective, Sherlock Holmes. And if you will, I hope you listen to me for a second, because I want to tell you about a wine that can make waiting for dinner a pleasure. The wine is Petri California Sherry. Any evening, well, let's say tomorrow evening, right before dinner, pour yourself a glass of Petri Sherry. Just look at it. It's clear as crystal and a wonderful deep amber color. One sure sign of a good sherry. And if you need further proof of just how good Petri Sherry really is, taste it. What wine? That Petri Sherry has a flavor that you know comes right from the heart of the grape. And if you like your sherry dry rather than sweet, you'll really like Petri Pale Dry Sherry. There's no doubt about it. Petri Sherry is one of the most delicious before-dinner wines in this swell country of ours. Oh, and say, when you serve Petri Sherry, serve it proudly, because those letters, P-E-T-R-I, on the bottle spell the proudest name in the history of American wine. And now I'm sure our good friend Dr. Watson's waiting for us. Let's go enjoy.
There you are, Mr. Bartell.
Good evening, Doctor. All alone tonight, huh?
Yes, my boy, if you can call a man alone when he's got his pipe, his books, and a glass of good port at his elbow. Take your coat off. Full of enjoyment.
Thanks, Doctor.
Help yourself to the port. There's some rather special tobacco in a jar over there.
Fine. And now, Doctor, are you ready to tell us tonight's new Sherlock Holmes adventure?
I am, Mr. Bartell, and I think you'll find it a most unusual story. It began on a winter's night in 1896. Holmes and I had gone to a theatre in the East End of London to see a performance of a famous old English melodrama called Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street.
That's a good bloodthirsty title, Doctor. The Demon Barber. He sounds as though he specialized in close shaves.
Good gracious me, Mr. Bartell, that's almost unforgivable. He was a murderer of voracious appetite who placed his victims in a specially constructed barber's chair, cut their throats, and then pressed the lever that would swing the chair over and decamp the unfortunate victim into a horrible cellar beneath his shop.
Glad this is only a stage play you're talking about, Doctor.
As my story begins, we were seated in a private box watching one of the closing scenes. Holmes was leaning forward in his chair, following the action on the stage with an obvious delight, while I sat beside him equally engrossed. An actor by the name of Mark Humphreys was playing the part of Sweeney Todd, and no one could deny that he was playing it up to the hilt.
Where are you going, Tobias? To the nearest magistrate, Sweeney Todd, to denounce you as the fiendish, cruel, cold-blooded murderer. You have pronounced your doom. Into the chair with you, and over and down into the depths below. Ha, 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 there. Say, whence comes this apparition? 'Tis the ghost of another customer of mine. The yawning grave yields up his ghastly inmates to prove me guilt. Blood will have blood. See, he is there. He comes to accuse me of his murder. Oh, save me. 'Twas not I that slew you. Let me leave, or it will kill me. Let me leave. Ha, ha, ha,
Well, upon my soul, Holmes, that fellow Mark Humphreys is the most florid actor that I've ever seen on a stage.
I find him enchanting, Watson. It seems to me he's really caught the flavor of this murderous monster piece. After all, a restrained performance of the barber Sweeney Todd would be unthinkable.
Yes, I suppose it would. But I must say his makeup seems rather overdone. No barber would wear such an enormous beard. It would be most impractical. Probably get in the customers' faces. By the way, I noticed from the program that Mark Humphreys, as well as being the principal actor, is also the owner of the company.
Yes, the current trend towards the actor-manager is a healthy sign, I think. Come in.
Excuse me, but is one of you gentlemen Mr. Sherlock Holmes?
Yes, I am.
Oh, I was asked to give you this note.
Thank you.
Now, who on earth knows that you're at the theatre, Holmes?
We'll soon find out. Ah, this note is from Mark Humphreys, our actor-manager.
What's it say?
Dear Mr. Holmes, I recognize you in your box. Please come to my dressing room after the performance. My sanity, and even the safety of London, perhaps, depends on your compliance.
Lord, my sanity and the safety of London. I wonder what on earth you mean.
That, my dear fellow, we can only discover by going backstage to meet him. As it is, the curtain's going up in the last scene I see. For a little longer, we must possess our souls in patience.
Mr. Sherlock Holmes?
Yes, sir?
Oh, my name is Lindsay. Derek Lindsay. I'm the business manager. Mr. Humphreys asked me to meet you at the stage door and take you to his dressing room.
Thank you very much. This is my colleague, Dr. Watson.
How do you do?
Oh, how are you, Doctor? Will you follow me, please?
Excuse me asking, Mr. Lindsay, but surely you must be related to that distinguished actor of some years back, Lytton Lindsay.
He was my father, Mr. Holmes.
Ah, indeed. The resemblance is extraordinary.
With such a heritage, Mr. Lindsay, you must love the theatre.
It'll probably sound like heresy, but I hate it. However, it's the only thing I was trained for, and there's good money to be made in it, sometimes. And money's the thing I both like and want. Oh, Mr. Holmes, I do hope you'll be able to help Mark Humphreys. He certainly needs it.
Oh, really? What seems to be his trouble?
Well, he'll have to tell you that for himself. But his wife and I think... There's Mrs. Humphreys now. Maria! Maria, this is Mr. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. Mrs. Mark Humphreys.
How do you do?
Oh, Mr. Holmes, I'm so grateful that you're going to see Mark. He's in such a dreadful state. There have been times lately when Mr. Lindsay and I have been afraid he's going out of his mind, haven't we, dear?
Indeed we have. We're both dreadfully worried about him.
In that case, I hope I can be of service. Which is his dressing room?
Number 1, next door to mine. Jared, I think it'll be better if Mr. Holmes and Dr. Watson go in alone. I'm sure Mark will speak more freely if we're not in the room.
I think perhaps that is a good idea, Mrs. Humphreys. We'll see you later on. Come on, Bill.
That's all.
Come in, come in. Holmes, thank heaven you're here. Close the door.
Mr. Humphreys, this is Dr. Watson.
Watson, eh? Yes, I know of you, too.
How do you do, sir?
Sit down, won't you, gentlemen? You're wondering why I asked you to come back and see me, of course.
Naturally, sir.
Well, I won't beat about the bush and waste your time. I come straight to the point. I'm going mad.
Oh, come
I know. It sounds fantastic, but it's true. I've often heard of actors beginning to live their parts off the stage. They play on it. Well, it's happening to me. I'm turning into another Sweeney Todd. The character I'm portraying on the stage.
Are you suggesting, sir, that you're a potential murderer?
Yes, I am.
What reason do you have for holding that belief?
Reason? Listen to this. 3 times in the past week, I've wakened in the morning to find my boots covered with mud and my razor stained with blood.
You've had no recollection of any untoward events during the night?
None.
Have you ever been addicted to the unfortunate habit of sleepwalking, sir?
Not to my knowledge, Doctor. And if I had been, surely my wife would have told me about it.
Your wife? Where do you live, Mr. Humphreys?
We have a flat here above the theater.
Above the theater, eh? And Mr. Humphreys, you say that on 3 separate occasions on waking in the morning, you have found a blood-stained razor and mud-covered boots. Can you show us this proof?
No, I can't. I was always so frightened that my wife would see that I cleaned them before she had the opportunity of finding them.
Pity, sir. They would have been very valuable clues in a case like this.
I couldn't risk my wife seeing evidence like that, Doctor. She'd know the truth. But at night times, while she's asleep, some devilish, unconscious urge has overcome me. An urge that causes me to prowl the streets of London, razor in hand, looking for a victim. Mr. Holmes, you've got to help me. I'm certain that without knowing it, I've been committing murder, and if you don't help me, I'll go on and on.
Mr. Humphreys, please. I'll undertake the case. It's a very unique assignment. In effect, I'm being engaged by a possible murderer to prove him guilty.
Well, Mr. Holmes, I've been through all the records we have here at Scotland Yard.
What have you found, Inspector Gregson?
The last 2 months, we haven't had one case of an unsolved killing with a razor.
Any mysterious disappearances, Inspector?
Bless your heart, Doctor. There's never a day that passes without 1 or 2 of them. Here's a list of them, Mr. Holmes, if it's any use to you.
Thanks. Come on, Watson. In the morning, we can go back to the theater and set our friend's mind at rest. I'm much obliged to you, Gregson.
Glad to be of service, Mr. Holmes.
We examined the homicide records at Scotland Yard after leaving you last night, Mr. Humphreys. There have been no unsolved razor murders in London during the past fortnight.
And therefore, I think you may rest easy on that score, sir.
But it proves nothing. Remember that in the play, Sweeney Todd's victims are never found either.
Yes, thanks to his singularly horrible ingenuity in disposing of them. But this is real life, Mr. Humphreys.
Then how do you account for the bloodied razors and the muddied boots?
Well, now, are you sure that they aren't just in your imagination, sir? You admit that your wife's never seen them? The whole thing could be, or shall we say, an overdose of Sweeney Todd?
Well, I admit that I'm suffering from a surfeit of that.
And why not drop the play from your repertoire?
Our manager, Derek Lindsay, won't let me. It's our best money maker. He's always got a keen eye to business. Mr. Holmes, I can see that you still don't believe my story. So I've saved some evidence for you, evidence that I found this morning. Look at these. Now, what do you say? Do you still think it's my imagination?
Got a blood-stained razor and boots covered with mud.
Splendid. At last, some real clues to work on.
How can you be so calm, Holmes? It happened again last night. Do you realize that I'm a murderer? I'm a menace to society? For heaven's sake, lock me up before I do some more damage.
No, sir. Don't get so excited.
Mr. Humphreys, I should like to take these objects back to Bay Street where I can perform some chemical tests. You have no objections, I hope?
Objections? Good heavens, no.
Excellent. You've told no one of this fresh discovery of yours?
No one.
Not even Derek Lindsay.
Derek Lindsay, that's your manager, isn't it?
Yes, the best friend I ever had. Except for his father before him. It was Derek who helped me back on my feet 2 years ago, when I put on that disastrous production of Macbeth. Don't know where I'd be today if it weren't for him.
You lost a great deal of money on that production, sir.
Nearly every penny I had.
Indeed. By the way, where is your wife, Miss Humphreys?
She's in her dressing room next door. We have a matinee today, you know.
I'd like a word with her. Watch an old chap. Wait here for me, will you? I won't be a moment.
Right you are, Holmes.
Who is it?
Sherlock Holmes.
You want to talk to me, Mr. Holmes?
For a moment. May I come in, Mrs. Humphreys?
Well, couldn't we talk on the stage? It's empty.
I prefer to come into your dressing room, if you don't mind. What I have to say is confidential.
Very well, then. Come in. Mr. Holmes, may I introduce Signor Vinelli, our musical director?
How do you do, sir?
It is a great honor to meet the so great Signor Holmes. I have so admired you. Oh, often I have envied you. Many times I say to myself, Giuseppe...
Signor Vanelli, if you don't mind, I wish to speak to Mrs. Humphreys alone.
Oh, I quite understand. Excuse me, Signor. Adios, Cara Maria.
Mr. Holmes, I'm really awfully glad of this opportunity to talk to you. Tell me truthfully, please, what's your opinion of my husband?
I haven't formed a definite opinion yet, except that it's possible that he's the victim of a fraud. I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions, if you don't mind.
Of course not, Mr. Holmes.
Has your husband ever shown evidence of being a sleepwalker?
A sleepwalker? Oh, no, never.
I see. Are you a light sleeper?
Yes, I am. Exceptionally so. Why?
Oh, I'm just curious.
You're being very mysterious, Mr. Holmes. Can't you tell even me what's going on?
I promised your husband the answer to that question before tonight's performance. I'm afraid I can't tell you any more until then.
Oh. And now may I ask a question?
Oh, certainly. No, I won't promise to answer it.
You said just now that my husband might be the victim of a fraud. What did you mean?
Again, I'm afraid that you must wait for the specific answer to that question. However, there's another fraud being practiced on him that I can speak of now.
What fraud?
The fraud that you are indulging in, Mrs. Humphreys.
What do you mean?
Of course, this particular fraud is none of my business, but when I almost force my way into your dressing room and find your musical director, a quantity of rice powder on one shoulder and suggestions of rouge on his cheek, it doesn't take a great deal of intelligence to deduce that your husband is being deceived.
Get out of here at once.
That's exactly what I propose doing. Good day to you, madam. No doubt I shall see you later on.
Well, Holmes, what does the microscope tell you about the mud on the boots and the blood stains on the razor?
On a blank on the mud, old chap. It's an extremely common type that is found in most parts of London.
And the blood?
I'm examining that now.
This is as strange a case as ever I remember, Holmes. Here you are trying to prove a man innocent when he insists that he's guilty.
By George, Watson. Here's the answer.
What?
This blood is definitely not human blood. It's probably canine. Now, a Sweeney Todd madness would hardly drive its victim to kill dogs. Therefore, it's obvious that Mark Humphreys is the victim of a devilish plot.
And he's not a murderer.
No, come on, old fellow. Let's go to the theater at once and give him the good news.
Why doesn't he answer? 3/4 of an hour before the curtain time.
He must be in his dressing room. I'll knock again. Come on, Watson, let's go in.
Holmes, look. Look, he's slumped over his dressing table.
I hope we're not too late. Here, give me a hand with him.
We are too late. His throat's been cut.
Poor devil. I promised him a solution to his troubles before the night was over. Little did I think that the solution would be death.
We'll hear the rest of Dr. Watson's story in just a second, so I'm going to ask you if you're one of those people who just eats to live, or whether you really enjoy good food. If you love good eating, you've just got to know about Petri wine. Petri wine makes good food taste wonderful. For instance, if you're having steak or a roast or any meat or meat dish, you'll love it served with Petri California Burgundy. Petri Burgundy is the last word in delicious red wine. Now, with chicken or fish, you can't beat the delicate Petri California Sauterne, a really extraordinary white wine. Just to make sure you don't miss either Petri wine, don't buy one, buy two. Buy both Petri Burgundy and Petri Sauterne. They're both swell because they're both Petri. Well, Dr. Watson, what happened next?
Well, Phil, I think I'll pick up the story exactly where I left off. Holmes and I were standing in Mark Humphrey's dressing room, looking with horror at the flashed throat of the actor manager. There were bitter, self-accusing notes in Holmes's voice.
I promised him a solution to his troubles before tonight was over. Little did I think that solution would be death.
This worry over his supposed madness caused him to commit suicide.
Suicide? Rubbish, old fellow. It's murder.
Look at the razor clutched in his hand.
Undoubtedly placed there by the murderer before rigor mortis had the chance to set in. In any case, scrutinize the wound. Does that look as if it had been done by the hand of a suicide?
Well, I don't see why not.
Look closer, old chap. The depth of the wound is even, whereas a suicide cut always wavers towards the end. No, this is murder, Watson, and I think I know who did it. But I have little evidence. I must lay a trap.
What kind of a trap, Holmes?
I haven't time to tell you now, old fellow. Every moment counts. Off with you to Scotland Yard and get Inspector Gregson. Bring him back here as fast as you can.
Right you are.
And Watson.
Yes?
Tell absolutely no one except Gregson of Mark Humphrey's death. And say that he's still alive and well and that his problems are solved.
It's the performance of the play.
Let me worry about that, old chap. Off with you to Scotland Yard.
I'm sorry it took so long to find me, Dr. Watson. I was out on another case, you see.
No, that's all right, Inspector. The performance, if there is one, must be nearly over by now.
Here's the stage door, sir.
Yes, here we are.
Here, you can't go on the stage. Who says I can't? I'm Inspector Gregson of Scotland Yard. Oh, sorry.
The performance is going on. I wonder who the devil's playing Sweeney Todd. Come along, come on. Let's stand here in the wind.
Quietly. It is only the wind whistling through this cellar.
But this isn't possible. There's Mark Humphreys on the stage. I saw him with his throat cut.
I don't believe in ghosts, Doctor.
Great heavens, it's Holmes.
Something like that. Who's this? It's you, Mrs. Summers. Somebody seems to cut your throat. What a pity. No more Bill Pines. Tell Sweeney Todd who cut your throat, dearie, and you'll cut their throats, too. He'll revenge you while you burn down there in hell, dearie. He'll revenge you.
Here he comes now, Gregson.
Amazing disguise. I never have recognized him.
You're both here.
Holmes, and what are you up to?
Surely that's apparent. I disguised myself as the dead man, hoping to force the murderer's hand.
You're running a terrible risk, Mr. Holmes.
Out of my profession, Gregson. Shh. Here comes Signor Vanelli, the musical director.
My dear fellow, I had the lady orchestra to come and congratulate you. Never have you given a finer performance. Bravissimo, bravissimo.
Thank you.
But it is true. You hardly seem the same person. Your performance is incomparable. Keep it up, Mark. Keep it up.
I think he spotted you, Holmes.
Yes, and I didn't like his look as he said that.
Well, whoever it is, they've got their hand soon. The curtain's going up in the last scene. Keep your eyes open and suspect everyone. Look, my lord, Judge. He's by your side. Do not consider your ermine robe is stained with blood.
Sweeney Todd, what dark deed presses on your conscience?
Was a dark, foul deed, but heed not what you hear, Lord Judge, nor what you see. Still the figure sits there. I hear it come to this. It is useless to deny my guilt. The very dead rise from their settlements to prove Sweeney Todd a murderer.
By George, what an actor he'd have made, Doctor.
Yes, what an actor he is, Gregson. I'll be hanged if I know how he remembers the lines, though, even if he has seen the play half a dozen times. Here he comes now. Bravo, Holmes. You did splendidly.
But it didn't work, Watson. It didn't work, confound it. Murderer still hasn't tipped his hand. Have I underestimated him?
Looks as if you have, sir. And if you don't mind my saying so, I think you'd have been a lot wiser to let me handle the case as soon as you found his body, instead of going in for all this dressing up stuff.
Oh, but of course. Now I see it. Only one person could have killed Mark Humphreys.
Who, Holmes?
Do as I say, and I'll show you. I'm going to Humphreys' dressing room now, alone. Give me a few moments' start, and then follow me. Out of sight, but within earshot.
Dr. Watson, why does Mr. Holmes always have to be so blooming mysterious? Why can't he just say who the murderer is and take us to him?
Well, I've been with Mr. Holmes on a great many cases, Gregson, and yet I can't answer that question. Come along. You've got a big enough start now. Let's follow him.
I'm very fond of Mr. Holmes, you know, Doctor, and yet there are times when I get so angry with him. He shouldn't risk his life like that.
You know Mr. Holmes. He'll never change.
Well, if he don't, one of these days he's going to wake up and find himself dead. Shh. Shut the door. Someone inside with him.
You devil!
Listen.
How many times do I have to kill you? Great Scott, it's Derek Lindsay, the business manager. Come along, Gregson.
No, Lindsay! You succeeded in killing Humphreys, but you won't kill me. Grab his arm. Look out for that razor.
Here, you.
Let go of me!
No, you don't.
Ah, very neat, Gregson.
Are you all right, Holmes?
Perfectly, thanks, old chap, though I'm a little tired. Gregson, my dear fellow, will you take over from here? I think I've had enough melodrama for one day. How pleasant, Watson, to be back at Baker Street again. A crackling fire, my dressing gown, and your company combined to make a soothing ending to a somewhat violent day.
It's been a most unusual case, Holmes. I still don't entirely understand it. The original plot, of course, was to try and drive Mark Humphreys mad by making him think that he was a murderer. That accounts for the boots and the blood-stained razor.
Precisely, my dear fellow. And the killer, having conditioned his victim by this trickery, then murdered him, trying to make it appear a suicide. Now, who had a motive?
3 people. Mrs. Humphreys, her lover, Signor Vanelli, and Derek Lindsay. I must say that I suspected the wife.
Well, so did I for a while, and yet it was illogical. She knew, and we may therefore presume that her lover knew, that I was suspicious of her.
And she must have known that you promised her husband a solution to his troubles before the night was out. It seems highly improbable that she or Signor Vanelli would have faked his suicide at that point.
Quite right, my dear fellow. So I investigated. I found that what Humphreys had referred to as the kindly act of a friend in helping him back onto his feet was in reality the mortgaging of his entire theatrical effects. Lindsay stood to inherit the theater on Humphrey's death. Therefore, I was convinced that he was the killer.
And then, after he'd murdered him, he saw what he thought to be Mark Humphreys on the stage.
Ah, that's where I was slow and stupid, old chap. I couldn't imagine what motive gave the cold, clear nerve to suppress all reactions when he saw his supposed victim revived on the stage. Only at that moment did I realize.
And what was the motive that made him hold his hand?
The characteristic that ruled his life, Watson. Avarice. A morbid love of money. You see, if he'd attacked me during the performance, he'd have had to refund the money to the audience. His greed conquered all other passions. It made him wait until the performance was finished before he attempted my life.
You know, Holmes, now that the case is solved, I'll tell you something in confidence.
Please do, old fellow. What is it?
At the end of the play tonight, I was afraid that you'd made a mistake, that you'd slipped up on the case. Gregson thought so, too.
And I, Watson, will tell you something in confidence.
Well, what is it?
There were 3 of us that felt the same way.
Well, now you're being modest, no?
I assure you I'm not, my dear chap. In fact, in the future, if it should strike you that I'm, getting a little overconfident of my powers, or perhaps giving less pains to a case than it deserves, kindly whisper Sweeney Todd in my ear, will you? I shall be infinitely obliged to you.
Doctor, that was a swell story. And a pretty narrow escape for Holmes.
Yeah. He said he almost solved the case too late. Fortunately, it ended well.
Mm-hmm. The thing that sticks in my mind is the fact that this was one of the very rare occasions when Holmes almost made a serious mistake.
Well, we all make mistakes at times, don't we? I said we all make mistakes at times.
I suppose so.
You mean to stand there and tell me that you never make a mistake?
Well, not when it comes to choosing a wine, I don't, because I always choose Petri.
Bartell, you trap me again.
Could be. But honestly, Doctor, when you choose a Petri wine, you know it's a good wine. Because good wine is the only kind of wine the Petri family makes. And it's easy to understand why when you realize that ever since they started the Petri business way back in the 1800s, the Petri family has handed on down from father to son, the highly developed fine art of winemaking. Yes, the Petri family's been making wine for generations. That's why, no matter what type of wine you prefer, for any occasion, you can't go wrong with a Petri wine because Petri took time to bring you good wine. Well, Dr. Watson, do you care to give us a clue about next week's Sherlock Holmes
Well,
adventure?
let me see. Next week, Mr. Bartell, next week now. Yes, I'm going to tell you a colorful story that took place in the Parisian circus in 1890. It concerns a very exalted personage, a lady bareback rider, and a strange death that struck that warning.
Oh, boy, I can't miss that one, Doctor.
Good. Well, now, before you go, I want to say something to all our friends. I want you just to think for a minute. Think of how terrible it is to see helpless little children stricken by infantile paralysis. And then realize that infantile paralysis can be beaten. It can be beaten in very many cases. And your money, your dimes, can do it. Join the March of Dimes. Send your dimes to your local March of Dimes headquarters. Let's help little children walk. Let's help them live.
Tonight's Sherlock Holmes adventure was written by Dennis Green and Anthony Boucher and was suggested by an incident in this Arthur Conan Doyle story, The Yellow Face. Music is by Dean Fossler. Mr. Rathbone appears through the courtesy of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, and Mr. Bruce through the courtesy of Universal Pictures, where they are now starring in the Sherlock Holmes series.